Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. You know, there's so much great stuff out there. I don't know what to tell you. I look around, I see what I have, I see what's still available, and every so often, regularly, every so often, all the time, I come across things I haven't listened to in a long time, and I put them on, and they're marvelous, and so I tell you about them. And I feel kind of guilty because it's just, unbelievable how much stuff there is. And I came across this box. Actually, I had a recent, when it was reissued, I got it, and I had the earlier stuff individually. And it's just wonderful, but it was sitting around, and I finally had a chance to play it and get reacquainted with some of these performances. It's this, the Borodin Quartet, their EMI/Warner recordings, Teldec, whatever they were. They recorded a lot of stuff, obviously, from Melodia, because they were founded in 1945. But they've had numerous defections and changes in personnel in that time. And these were all recorded between these recordings, that is all 7 discs, right? Yeah, 8 discs, between 1990 and 1995 in the UK for the most part. And they are really splendid. I mean, they're a wonderful group. They're one of the world's great quartets. They have a special relationship with Shostakovich. They recorded all the Shostakovich quartets in one of their earlier incarnations. Remember, it was on Melodia, then RCA got it, and then everybody issued it. And they got licensed and delicensed and relicensed and unlicensed. And, it's just everywhere. All of this stuff. But these 8 discs, there was so much stuff coming out in the 90s. And I remember, I had the Tchaikovsky string quartets with the Souvenir de Florence, the sextet, that's in here. And it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. But all this other stuff, I barely remember the fact that it existed. I had it. I listened to it at one point, but this is 20 years later and 30 years later, or whatever it is. And it's just astonishing how much there was. But let's go through the 8 discs and we'll talk about it. We'll just talk about it. As I said, these are original jackets. Here they are, all the original jackets. If you care about such things, I couldn't care less myself. But you get the 3 Tchaikovsky string quartets plus the string quartet movement in B-flat major and the sextet, Souvenir de Florence, which I adore. I think that's one of Tchaikovsky's greatest pieces. I really do. I just think it's a masterpiece. And very, very little acknowledged. Why? Because sextets, there aren't that many of them. And there aren't any regularly constituent groups of sextets. So, you have to take them as they come. And boy, is that a great work. And you've got the other quartets. They're all here. And they're yummy. 2 discs. Absolutely yummy. You're not going to find better Tchaikovsky quartets anywhere, or the sextet. Enough said, right? The next disc. Okay, well, the next 3 discs are Shostakovich quartets. And you get numbers 1 and 15, which is really quite a wonderful exercise in extremes, because the first is a very simple, lucid, pellucid, attractive work that Shostakovich was kind of dipping his toes into quartetitude. And the 15th, the 15th is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 adagios, then a funeral march. Isn't that exciting? Well, it's actually 6 adagios, but the last one is a funeral march. It's real. Well, actually, no, the second to last is a funeral march. Then there's an adagio epilogue. Pardon me. If it goes even to the dreary point beyond death, it has to be one of the most depressing pieces ever written. But what really sort of dazzled me when I first heard it, aside from the fact that, I had to make sure there weren't any sharp objects in the room, was the fact that it's really incredibly varied. Given the fact that it's like nothing but slow movements, they are really highly contrasted and kind of interesting. It sustains sort of a morbid interest for its entire length. It's quite the piece. I can't imagine what he would have done afterwards. Every one of these quartets is in a different key. And obviously what Shostakovich was doing was heading toward an all the major and minor key 24 quartet kind of cycle thing. But what would he have done after this one? It's an E flat minor. Where would he have gone next? I hesitate to think about it. So the next one here, we have numbers 2 and 12. Now, numbers 2 and 3 particularly are these big symphonic quartets. I mean, they have big, long movements. They're meaty. They're kind of like the middle period Shostakovich symphonies, like, 5, 6, 7, 8, in there. They're wonderful. And 12 is only in 2 movements. One is moderato, and then one that has like all kinds of little tempo things going on in it. But it's still quite long, because that second movement is 20 minutes. It's a 28-minute quartet, 2 movements. But they are wonderful works, fabulous works, and well worth hearing. And then the third Shostakovich thing here it is, has numbers 7, 8, and 8, 7, and 3 in that order. 3, 7, and 8. Do it in descending order. I love the third. The third is one of my faves. It's just the tune of the opening is so wonderful. It's anyway, it does that with this little accompaniment underneath it. Such simplicity, such innocence, and of course it gets completely corrupted and defiled, and oh my God, it's wonderful. It's a 5-movement quartet. It's a big, beefy thing with a wonderfully extended finale, about 10 minutes of probing angst. Fabulous. And the 8th, of course, is the 8th, the most famous of all of them. The one that Shostakovich was contemplating suicide when he wrote, so you know how cheery that is. It's got the same tunes that you find in the trio, plus the Shostakovich motive, the DSCH thing. And the 7th was dedicated to his wife, I believe. And it's a very simple, charming 3-movement work. Short and adorable, kind of, sort of, in Shostakovich's own particular adorable way. So there you go. Then there's another Shostakovich disc. This is also wonderful. It's the piano quintet and the piano trio with Elizabeth Leonskaya. Wonderful performances, fabulous music. Oh my God, these are 2 of the great 20th century chamber works. And the trio. Oh, the trio. Oh, that trio. Oh, that trio. Oh, it's so amazing. Such an amazing piece of music. I had a friend who used to love it. He went to prison, actually, and he played it in prison. And Cell Block 7 just adored the Shostakovich trio. For some reason, everybody loved it. It's one of the most tense and at the end, transfigurational pieces of music you've ever heard in your life. So give it a shot. Oh my God, it's amazing. Even if you're not in Cell Block 7, you'll enjoy it. Then we had, Russian Miniatures by Borodin, Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff, Stravinsky, and Shostakovich. So you've got all these people. The Borodin Quartet, of course, did the Borodin Quartets. But those were on Melodia, and they were issued on EMI, but they're not in here, because I suspect that was a license, and that license expired. What a shame, because it's, wonderful, wonderful performances of the 2 Borodin Quartets. So you've got, you do have a bit of the Borodin second quartet. You get the Nocturne, that lovely, lovely movement. And you got Shabalin and Prokofiev, Vision Fugitive. There's more here than I said in the front. And Mieczyslaw Weinberg, a bit of his string quartet number 7, and some Tchaikovsky children's album stuff, and Stravinsky's 3 pieces for string quartet, and Schnittke's Canon in Memoriam Igor Stravinsky, and Glazanov's 5 novelettes. Only one of them, unfortunately. Those are wonderful pieces. Oh my goodness. Great stuff. So, it's a miniature collection thing. And last, but certainly not least, there was this thing, which I had too. I remember this. This one I remember vividly. You've got the Schnittke Third Quartet, and the Schnittke Piano Quintet, and the Mahler Piano Quartet in A minor with, additions by Schnittke. You've got a scherzo attached to it. And so it's a collaborative effort, making it a quasi-almost complete work, sort of, not quite, or a bigger unfinished work. I'm not quite sure what you would call it. Anyway, so that's it. That's the 8 discs, and they're terrific, and they're inexpensive. And, There's absolutely nothing not to love. Let me find the booklet. There's the booklet. You get a good booklet, and it's a deal. It's just a deal. First class stuff. It sits in your collection and probably vanishes, and no one ever pulls it out again, and that's a shame. I think I'm going to file this under Tchaikovsky, because that way when I want the Tchaikovsky quartets, I'll always see it. I may not notice it for, the Shostakovich quartets, because I have them doing the whole cycle anyway, but maybe that's a good place to put it. It's all about filing. Watch my video on filing and organizing your collection. This needs to be organized. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.